excited that it's Thursday because it always gives us an opportunity to really dig deep with our guests. We spend a lot of time on finding people of influence in our Black community, whether it's through youth or fitness or athletics or education or whatever. And so we're just always looking forward to speaking to our guests because we only get to see the pictures and little videos of what they do, but we don't really get to understand and know who they are. And so I'm always excited about that. And I have my partner in crime here, Mr. Street. And, my background's in education and athletics. And Brian's background is in psychology and social work. And so we started our company to make sure that what can we do to reach out to our community in our youth and be effective, and what can we provide them, what services can we provide that are going to help change the narrative of our young Black men. So we got together and we created a company called HSBA. You can learn more about that on our website. We are hsba.com. You can learn more there. But the Black podcast is very important. So in our during our shows, it's so important that you're not only just watching, but that you are sharing. You have to share the knowledge. That's why we created the Black podcast. It wasn't just for us to grow personally. It's for us to pay forward to our community and make sure that we're growing as a unit. So please make sure you're doing your part and sharing. You never know who we're going to have on this show and what story that they're going to have that you may need to hear or someone in your circle may need to hear. So please make sure you do your part and share today's show.
Yes, indeed. There was a a mentor, previous mentor of mine, that would always say, "Don't be the black hole of information. Don't be the black hole of knowledge. Don't get it and let it stop with you. Always be ready and willing to pay it forward." Like she mentioned, my name is Brian Street. My background academically is in psychology, social work. My focus has been social entrepreneurship, so helping build, partner with, and expand socially conscious businesses and generate revenue flow to go towards development and sustainability of mentoring and leadership programs for that next generation. I'm really big about partnerships. I'm really big about understanding that there's a piece of the puzzle to the picture that I want to create that I just don't fit into. And I need other people around me to make that picture full. So that's one of the reasons I was able to partner with Dr. Hobson here, because she brings something to the table that I don't bring, and vice versa. And at the same time, that's why we are not going on this journey by ourselves, and we're bringing along these guests. We are hoping that each and every one of our guests want to, at one capacity or another, be part of our journey, helping prepare that next generation for their next stage of life. And that's why we have before you today our guest. And we're going to go ahead and pull the curtains back. Mr. James Townsend, how is it going?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Man, we are blessed to have you with us.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sure.
Yes. So we booked you probably, I don't know, a couple of months out. And so my partner here was like, "Well, when's the last time you talked to him? Are you sure you're gonna be on?" I'm like, "James, like he's good. Like
yeah.
I know where to
Yeah.
find him."
I had y'all pencil in for about 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
about 2 months. And I know that everybody's busy, so we used to try to get guests, 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out, but everybody has a busy life. And I'm like, if they're anything like my calendar, you're gonna have to give me a couple more days than a couple of,
right.
than 2 weeks. So I'm just so glad that we had a chance to finally get to you. We get to see all your videos and the things that you're doing, and you're absolutely amazing. And so when we look at your pictures and we look at some of your videos and we look at you, you're smiling, and you got this resiliency about you. We're like, dang, that man, his life just looked, perfect. Like his journey just been on point. And so we know that behind every glory is a story. And we know that there's a reason behind, or there's a why behind the things that you do and why you're doing it. And so we want to know more. We want to know more about you. We want to know where you're from and kind of dynamics of your family, and kind of give us a little bit of your journey of like just kind of growing up, what that looked like for us.
Well, I'm originally from South Bronx, New York, Webster Avenue, 168th. So I don't know if you guys ever been to the South Bronx, but it's pretty gritty. projects. Um, then later on, I had transitioned out of the Bronx. I was one of the fortunate ones to have a grandmother to move out of the projects to move down to South Jersey, and one of the like I said, one of the fortunate ones to go ahead and leave the projects, and I'm just grateful to be able to do that with my three siblings. I have two brothers and an older sister, so I'm the youngest one. I'm the baby boy. Um, I'm the kind of baby boy that had to I had to play sports. The two older brothers, they were allowed to run around and do whatever they want, and my older sister, she was doing her thing, and I was the one who had to stay behind and be in at a certain time, um, play sports, couldn't run the streets. Even though I wanted to, be like my older brothers, but it was just something about that they made sure, not just them, not just my siblings, but also the guys on the corners and everything. The hoodlums or they made sure that I wasn't going to fall into their life, and they made sure that my life was going to be on this journey.
Wow. It's kind of crazy that you say that because we've heard that so much from like our guests
I
that
was thinking the same thing.
they grew up, in the hood or poverty or whatever. But the drug dealers were the one dropping them off at school, and the drug dealers were the one like, "Nah, you good? Just go dribble your basketball or go to basketball practice." Or they were showing up to the games, and it's crazy to me, because we don't talk about those things like
Right.
enough in our community, right? We look at them like, "Oh, those thugs," they don't, you just learn to avoid them. But we miss that they're people too, right? And so just because they may feel that was a journey for their life, or that's what they chose to do, the fact that they have enough sense or heart or love or passion to say, but James, we see something different in you. You go do something else.
Hmm.
That's real
Hmm.
love. And that's, we don't talk about that enough. So I really appreciate you talking about that. My background is in athletics. I told you that. And my degree, when I got my doctorate, I did African American males and the effects of athletics on their educational plans. And the reason why I got into it was because I saw this system, right? We have the educational system and then we
Hmm.
had the athletics, right? And so I was the college athlete. Um, I had a chance to do that, but then I remember, athletes always gravitate towards each other. So the track girls talk to the football guys, everybody's always just chill and have a good time. And I
Hmm.
just remember like the girls moving up and then the boys was getting left behind, like in high school. And then as I became a coach, I was like, well, what happened to the fastest kid? He was the fastest running back, in Texas, and then now he working at somewhere else, and everybody thought he was going to make it to the lead. And so I want you to talk about, you know, get a little deeper with us on like that journey of you getting involved in sports, why you were having to get involved in it. And still like that, what was that journey like when you were going to practice and everybody else, like your peers or whoever else, were doing the other things? Like, speak more about that journey for us and what that looked like.
I was very active early. I was we in the projects we had a three-bedroom apartment, and it was me, my three siblings, my mom, my two uncles, my mom, and that was it. And so we were compact in this little three-bedroom apartment that happened to be my mom and her siblings apartment that my grandmother and grandfather left for them, right? So if anybody know about the projects, there's really no grass or anything to go ahead and play football on. So we had to play football in the streets, right? And so the evolution of me was always being active and starting off with my uncle. My uncle was a black belt in kickboxing and taekwondo and jiu-jitsu. So I was that kid that always loved to work out. I was doing the boxing, I was doing the jiu-jitsu, and I was doing the kickboxing, taekwondo, and all that, while my other brothers were running around, playing outside and whatnot. But then it really hit the head where I was 3 years old, 3, 4 years old, and my brothers they are 5, 6 years older than me, so they would bet money on a 3, 4 year old against their friends that I would beat them in a race, and I would. And so they were making money off of me. So my brothers, they kind of started out as my agents already. And so right then and there, that's where my brothers knew and they saw something in me, because I like I said, I always was that kid that was very active, athletic, that could do everything, whether if it was combat sports, or whether if it was football, basketball, baseball, anything, track, running, anything. So when we moved out to the suburbs in South Jersey, my mom put me in football. Then everything just hit the head there. Just started taking off, right? And then I didn't really understand what football was until I got to high school. Playing little league, growing up, being all world in little league, setting records and everything. It was fun, right? But until I came to high school, where I went to a Catholic high school that was ranked in the nation, that's where, when I look back on it, that's where football really hit the head for me, really took a toll, because then I just became this person that was gifted at football. Nobody cared about James Townsend the person. It was just James Townsend the athlete. So me being a 15, 16-year-old athlete, starting at, wide receiver as a freshman, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm playing ball. It's what I love. Oh, I'll be able to be like a Charles Woodson or a Desmond Howard, or a Timby Aquatuka, like all the guys that I grew up watching. Oh, I could be like them, but not really. I had nobody to really, show me the ropes of what being a man really was like. I thought being a man was being the man at school, being an athlete, being with women, going to parties, you know, not being able to, not having to go to class, not having to show up to school, because all I had to do was just show up, run on a Tuesday or a Thursday for track, or get on the field on a Friday or a Saturday. So it just, when you mentioned that, like, women in other sports kind of left the guys behind, is because we always just seen as
One thing.
one thing, and that's just an athlete,
Mm-hmm.
musician, or a drug
Mm-hmm.
dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And not having that male dominant figure in my life, you know, I looked up to my brothers, but my brothers couldn't be that male dominant figure either, because they were looking for their journey. They were looking for their,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's when really football really became my identity. Even
Yes.
though when I look back on it now, it became my identity at 3, because of how I was groomed,
Mm-hmm.
and then playing little league, and then came to high then when I came to high school, and all the schools around the nation came, and then everybody just filling my head up, even from those that were close to me, my immediate family. They
Yeah.
were just, filling my head up, and then going to school, filling my head up even more. Didn't have to go to school. I could go ahead and, skip school and just
Mm-hmm.
show up to play sports and this and that, and just focus on this one road, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of really seeing the big picture of it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And the sad thing about that is that um it's still that way. It's
Yeah,
it's still that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Um and for a long time I struggled with, not struggle, but I felt like I was suffocating in my own life because I knew what the truth was. And I was like, I cannot be a part of this system and contribute to it, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
Um, and so I tried to find ways that when I see athletes, I would remind them of who they are, or how proud I am, or it's good to see you, not talking about football, not talking about basketball. Not, and I lost my brother at a very young age. He was like 20, 27 when he passed away. But football was always his identity. He was always the fastest. He was always the most athletic, you know. But I believe that he passed away from a broken heart, you know, from silence. When all that stuff is stripped from you, it's like we're still proud of you, but for yourself, when you only know yourself as doing one thing, you know, it's like you letting yourself down and you don't even know. But even as an athlete, I was telling somebody the other day, even when I wrote my book, that a lot of us have been able to mask how we feel, who we are, what we're going through with athletics,
100%. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I never knew I had insecurity problems. I never knew that I was dealing with depression. I never knew that I had this issue with my appearance. You know, I would wish my skin was just a little bit lighter because at that time girls was like super light, you know, and everybody was saying I was light skinned, but I wanted to be golden yellow, you know, or
Mhm.
you know, my hair or my nose. I thought my nose was too big. Like I didn't even realize, I didn't even think about those things when I was in sports, when I ran college track, you know, I was, that was always my mask. And then when that was over, I was like, why do I feel sad? You know, why do I feel depressed or why do I have all these insecurities? And so sports can do that. And you talked about that. It's like if you're not able, if you don't have somebody there like a coach who's going to take time to say, okay, let's talk about you. You know, what do you, how do you feel? And you know, we're not taught that. We're not. So I started coaching coaches on that, getting to know who their athlete is and what drives them and why they're doing the things that they're doing.
But you see, but you know, the thing is, I had those coaches,
Mm-hmm.
but those coaches didn't look like me.
Mm.
They couldn't relate. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, yeah. I had a lot of people say, you know, girls are going to be there. Don't worry about that. Hey, you focus on this, you focus on that. But I didn't really have anybody to really grab me
Mm.
by the arm and be like, you know what? I'm pulling you out of football, or I'm pulling you out of school until you get your act together.
Right. Right.
Like nobody took the time to actually sit there and see the problem.
Yeah.
You know that, all right, you know, yeah, he has his talent, but you know, if he doesn't make it, then what?
Then what? Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it just a lot of people just looked at it for themselves, you
Yeah.
know, and now when I look back on it, they did.
Yeah, for sure. It's always still that their why was still attached to why they're doing what they're doing for you. We need James to be okay because we need him to be able to play good. So we're going to check on James and we're going to make sure he's good. But do we know if he's good? You know, do we bring people to the campus that looks like him that he could say, "Oh, I can go talk to this guy"? Are we, you know, do we do those extra things to make sure we make those connections? You know, they don't do that, and you know, we when we look at it at the leadership, you know, starting from the top, that's why those people should be the ones putting different, you know, diverse educators on campus to help, you know, people fill the room. That's why we talked, me and Brian started our company because we saw the large amount of dropout rates um, at with Black men in these predominantly white colleges. They go for these sports, but they don't graduate. So I just gave you a championship, but I'm leaving with a ring, but no degree, you know?
Mhm.
And so we see those things still happening. So that's why we created what we did in our company, because we said we need them to know who they are
Right.
outside of sports. And I think one of our athletes that today, as far as a role model, I feel like LeBron does a great job at
Mhm.
knowing who he is within sports. He knows if I stop playing right now, y'all won't make no more money. So I'm gonna say what I want. I'm gonna do what I want because what y'all gonna do? You see, a lot of athletes have been held hostage to, you know, how much money they make and stuff, so they don't voice their opinion. You know, but we got
Facts.
people like, you know, Kaepernick that said, "Yeah, I'm good and I love football, but if you're gonna if it's at the cost of taking away my voice, then I'm good on it." And
Mhm.
so, you
Mhm.
know, so speak on about how did you transition from that space? Like how long was this identity attached to you before you not detached yourself from it, but just started to really discover who you are? Like talk about that journey for us.
Um, that came when I was 17 years old. Um, I had got a I had got a white girl pregnant at a Catholic school. Wasn't my girlfriend, just, living life reckless. Didn't have the education, the understanding of sex, protect yourself, none of that. It was nobody really took the time to do that for us. It was mainly maybe 12 of us black kids at Holy Cross High School in South Jersey, and probably three of us were the stars, and two of them my best friends. So that that's when I knew at 17 years old that um, people's agenda was just for themselves. It's because I knew how I felt when I didn't have my dad around, right? The broken promises, me waiting for him outside, he didn't show up, and me hearing my mom on the phone with her friends saying what she wants to say, about him and everything. Like, she was painting that picture for me, and then those broken promises and everything came around, and then I started to build, this wall up towards him. So when I had my oldest daughter, I was just like, you know what? Forget college. Like, if I'm man enough to lay down with a woman unprotected and have sex with her and get her pregnant, I'm man enough to be around and be a father. But those that were close to me, and those that were fans of mine, were saying, nah, you need to focus on this, because this life that you're heading on could take care of her. One check could write off anything. But at that moment, I'm just like no, like, I need to be around, be here, be a father for my daughter. While I'm going through that, you had parents, you had teachers and everything who wanted to lynch me, who said I needed to die, who said, that it was wrong for me to do this. Like, we don't allow this at Catholic schools, this and that, blah blah blah. Why y'all letting this happen and everything? Like, literally calling into the school and coming to the school wanting to
But
lynch
she
me.
can stay, you got to go.
Right. But the powers to be wasn't going to allow that, because why? I was the star football player. I was putting I was putting butts in there in the stadium seats, right? But what hurt me the most was that the ones that were close to me, my immediate family, they they refused to understand why I wanted to forget football and be a father. They refused to understand that. It's like, once again, they didn't care about how I was hurting or why I was hurting or why I was making that decision. Nobody, even to this day, nobody even asked me why. Every time when I talk about it, they find out through podcasts. But still, to this day, nobody hit me up but like, Jim, I never knew you felt like that. I never knew.
Because
Right.
everybody had
So
an agenda. You messed up everybody's, like, oh, if he make it, then he could take care of the family and he could take care of,
right,
everybody's gonna be happy, So it was
right.
like you kind of put a shift in everybody's plans.
Right, right. So by me wanting to make that decision, even though I still went ahead and went on and accepted my scholarship at the University of Iowa and everything, that still was on my mind. Is that, yes, I'm here in Iowa, but my daughter's here in Jersey. And so how can I focus and perform at an elite level if, I'm worrying about, what how my daughter's growing up, or what she's doing, or me just not being a factor in her life. Right? So even with me still pursuing football, the troubles of me not being there in my daughter's life follow me. We talking about child support, you know, um, like I said in the beginning, I wasn't, with my daughter's mother. She just was a girl that I was laying down with, but still, I still was there with her throughout the whole thing. Her family, were saying, you're having a nigger baby, you're having a zebra baby, this and that. Her family kicked her out at 8 months, came to live with us, and then, my mother ended up catching us having sex. So because she was a year ahead of me. She graduated '02, I graduated '03. And so my mother ended up catching us having sex. So, a black mom was like, nope, you ain't getting back. Nope, you got to go. Right. So she ended up making her leave. And then that's when the troubles set in as far as me and her. She was trying to keep my daughter away from me. And then, I still had a whole half a year to finish. So I had track season to finish and everything, but I'm focusing on my daughter. So I ended up going to court. I ended up having to present a whole bunch of papers from Iowa, how much I'm getting from Pell Grant and everything, this and that, so they could base that on my child support. My child support started off at $100 a month until I got my Pell Grant, which was $17.50 for that first semester. New Jersey's New Jersey child support took that as I was getting $17.50 a month. They took that as I was getting $17.50 a month. So from May 23rd of '03 to May of 2008, I was back in arrears for child support because I was on scholarship and I couldn't work. So then those added pressures came on. All right, I really got to make it to the league now because I have this, I had this going on, and I got people calling me saying, hey, they need 10 stacks, they need 20 stacks, they need me to buy this, they need me to buy that, and they know I have a big heart because I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I was taking that stuff really personal. So from the side of having my daughter at 17, people literally wanting to kill me because I got a white girl pregnant. My family not understanding my mental health at that time and why I wanted to forego playing, being a D1 athlete, and then dealing with all the pressures of being a D1 athlete until I graduate. I tried to take my life because of that added pressure. Because I was screaming and knocking on the window and knocking on the door for somebody to actually sit me down and say, "Hey, let's talk about it. What's going on?" And to actually like fully understand why I feel this way. And like I said, still to this day, nobody really, asked me what was going on.
Now, I appreciate you sharing that, man. And that's what this show is about, like just being vulnerable, keeping it real 100, because you have no idea how many young men right now, this day, going through almost a mirror image of what you just explained. I mean, you're an example that you can continue to push through. We haven't gotten to the later chapters of your story yet, but just to reflect a little bit, me coming out of the South, Mississippi, um, very similar situation when it comes to laying down with a white girl, so on and so forth. A lot of my cousins went through the same situation. Got girls pregnant whenever they were in high school. To this day, they're still going through it, going through it, going through it. Same situation. Had scholarships to play ball, and that stress, weighing like I don't want to be that deadbeat. I don't want to be that statistic, but I got to go get this money because I got to set up the family. Thankfully, the family, like some of the situations were understanding and supportive. But at the end of the day, when it comes to black men, period, we're expected to deal with it. Like you better suck it up, like figure it out.
Mhm.
And there's no one that really comes to our aid. And a lot of times they see you as a star athlete. They see you as the one that's turning heads, and they expect you to be okay.
Mhm.
Like he's good. That's the strong one. But it's so important for us to take time, check on your strong friends. They're the ones typically that don't have a shoulder to lean on. And when they're going through it, you're still coming to them. And they're not letting you know that, what, I can't right now because I'm going through mine. But really, they're pouring into you from an empty vessel.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I
Mhm.
appreciate the fact that you mentioned that because we need more of us as Black men to open up to one another and to be willing to allow one another to open up and to continue to chip away. at the stigma of getting help,
Right. Right. Right.
because you never know. You never know when the straw is about to break the camel's back, so to say. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so thankful that I went through my psychology program, because it really helped me. It really helped me learn how to kind of read people and see when something is off, and then how to talk to them to get them to open up. And we need more who are willing, to really help individuals open up
Mhm.
and navigate through life a different way than what is expected by those who want you to go a certain route.
Right.
So, I mean, in saying that, what did that transition look like for you? So, you made it, you got to college, you playing ball. Like, kind of take us from there to the remainder of the the organized athletic
You
journey.
know, it was I actually was training to for the combine, for the NFL combine, and the pro day and everything. And um that's when I tried to take my life. I spent 2 weeks in a mental institution, and even there, I always tell the story. Even there, the ones who had the problems, it was like the Most High God just had His angels, and they were His angels, and it was like they would come out of their trance and be like, "What are you doing here? Like you don't belong here. Like what are you doing here?" And they will always just say that to me, like, "Man, you do not belong here." And then they would go back to to their space, and that always stuck to me because it's like here, you know, they they're going through something, and here I am, and they can see me, and they could see that I don't belong in this situation. So why are you here? Why did you put yourself in this situation? And I look back on it, it's like, at that time I needed to find out, why am I in this situation? Like, what is the root cause? But I had to find that out by myself. I nobody took me by the hand and wanted to say, what's going on. So even with me coming out of that 2 weeks, I had to shake it off and perform in front of scouts.
Put on a mask.
Put on the mask, right? Put on the mask. And so, I performed for the scouts. I didn't get drafted, but I got picked up as a free agent for the Chicago Bears. Um, Went through the mini camp, the rookie mini camp, and then got offered a contract. And right then and there, that's when I had a one-on-one meeting with Lovey Smith. Lovey Smith was the coach at the time, and I told him, I was like, you know, that 475 looks good, but that 475 would kill me if I go ahead and accept it. It would literally take my life. So I have to walk away. I have to find myself. I have to become a better man so that I could become a better father, so I could become a better future husband, and so I could become just a better man for society, you know. And I walked away from, you know, I walked away from a career you know, with the Chicago Bears. I walked away from what people wanted me to be, what I thought I wanted to be, and that was the best decision that I ever made. You know,
Wow.
now that I say that, at the time, walking away, it
Like,
was like that
damn, I
whole
should
year
have
and a
just.
half. Yeah, that whole year and a half from 2008 to 2010 was just dark. It was dark because
Mm,
I went back home. I had to, for a whole year and a half. I was sleeping on the floor of my mom's apartment, and I was just trying to find myself because my identity was being an athlete. And still, by me being home for that whole year and a half, working at a Target, working at a Home Depot, night shifts and everything, everybody was saying the same thing. Man, you should be on a
mm,
NFL team. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. But even while me being home and walk, nobody still asked why. Nobody still wanted to sit down and ask why.
mm.
So I had to figure that out for myself. right? Nobody wanted to. You know what? I'm gonna keep it 100. Everybody was pissed.
Mm,
Everybody was pissed, even from my mom, even from my brothers. The looks weren't even the same.
mm.
That hurt me even more than
Yeah,
people not even asking why. The looks didn't even look the same.
disappointed.
Disappointed, disappointed. And so I had to find the strength in myself to get myself out of it, and I did.
Wow, wow.
That's real, man. You know, I'm listening to your story. I'm looking at the ups and downs. Um, I'm looking at parts of my story. One of the things that is so sad, specifically in our community, I can't speak for any other communities, but in the Black community, one of the sad things is a lot of times your friends and family are the first ones to kick you when you're down.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
the first ones to point fingers. Ah, he couldn't cut it here. Ah, he couldn't cut it there, and just automatically count you out.
Hmm.
And it's like sometimes you have to go to complete different network, complete different communities to get the support that you need. I had a big win this week when it comes to my business space, whereas the opportunity came from outside of our community. And I've been in communications with the only Black-owned bank here in Hattiesburg to do similar work, similar projects to get into the community. Really educate the youth when it comes to financial education, so on and so forth. But it's crickets. I won't get back to me. Like I even have a mutual individual that vouched. And then on the same scale, when I moved from Miami and came back to Mississippi, I had a specific reason why I did that. But I had friends of actually a distant relative that made a statement to my dad about me, which got back to me. Brian couldn't cut it in Miami, huh? So he had to come back to Mississippi.
Hmm.
Wow. Family. Wow. Just gonna assume just like that. And it's sad. Then when I got here, the first ones to put me on opportunity were outside of my community. And that's one of the reasons why, so much of the work that I do is like, look, we got to support one another. We
Hmm.
have to not only support one another in the directions that we know that they can go, but stop, pause, and ask questions. Where do you want to go? What
Mm,
do you want to do? What makes you happy? Not what do I think should make you happy based off of what I
mhm.
know about you. What makes you happy? And let me support you in that specific direction. So,
Right.
just listening to your story, I just took a little scroll through your Instagram here. And we definitely have to have a conversation offline. But kind of speak to where you are currently as it pertains to tying in who you are as a trainer, with your physical being. I mean, I don't know what you look like right now, but because I was
Ripped,
a little bit
ripped,
different. I was a little
ripped.
bit different before COVID.
Even his baby is ripped.
I was
I'm
I
like,
was a little bit
damn, baby
different
got muscles
before
too.
COVID. Like I don't look the same right now like I did before COVID. So I'm not even gonna try and compare. But
Hmm.
a lot of times when it comes to the physical, it's either you're physically aesthetic or you're spiritually inclined. So it's like either or. Well, at the same time, your body is supposed to be your temple. So you're supposed to take care of your body, but a lot of times in certain religious or spiritual circles, they frown on you doing certain things to get yourself physically appealing. So, what would you say is kind of not only what you do physically, like what you actually show, but how do you tie in like maybe your mentorship, your mindset coaching whenever you're doing the training, so on and so forth, tying the physical into the spiritual, coming from where you are.
Um, I have to. When I look back on my journey and everything, I have to give the credit to the Most High God. He kept me through everything that I could have been. I could have been, I could have been a drug dealer, or I could have been in jail, or just he just kept me, and he had me go a different route, that a better and different route that I wanted for myself and that others wanted for me. When I look back, and I don't even think he wanted me in the NFL. He wanted me to learn all these skills and the education to come along with being a trainer, and the education to come along with being an athlete, period. He wanted me to use that for a greater good. And that greater good is the man that I am today, the father, absolutely, the father that I am today, the husband, and the coach, because I get to take those life experiences that hurt me and make sure that those that I come in contact with, they don't have to experience that.
Yeah.
I get to show them me, because you know in my relationship with Jesus, and my relationship with the Most High God is, I want to be authentic to others, so others can see Him work through me.
Yeah.
I don't need to be this. You know, you know. Most people think when they give when they turn their life over to Christ, that they need to be this perfect person, that they need to
Yes.
match. No, He's not asking you to be that, because you can't be that.
Right.
He's the only perfect person that ever walked this earth,
Yep.
right? He wants you to be a vessel of Him, so that people know that if you make a mistake, you have another day to make it right, or you have another hour to make it right, or a week, or a month. You can make it right. You don't have to, you don't have to put up this facade, and think that, you you don't argue, or you don't get upset, or you don't, want to be with your significant other. Like He's living through you, so that others can see Him through you. And so where I'm at now is that, like, He kept me so much to where I could, whatever I pray for, or whatever I do, I know He's going to be there with me, and there's nothing else that I can do. Like, even if I want to boast about myself, I can't. I don't even want people to boast about me, because that makes me feel like I get nervous, my heart start beating fast, because that's the life that I lived before. I took
Right.
all that in, right? I took all those accolades and all those praises and everything in, and it made my head like this. But now that God brought me to the position of being humble, a humble man, I get to walk around proudly and say, you know what, that's good that you say that, but I'm no better than you. I fall short. I get upset. I get mad. I don't do the right things all the time, but I'm able to right those wrongs, and I'm able to live a life to where I could be a blessing to somebody else. I could be a blessing to my kids. I could be a blessing to your kids. I could be a blessing to you. I could make you brave inside of the gym, so that you can be brave on the outside of the gym. Because that's the mission in life. If you can push on this workout for 10 minutes, push mentally, just imagine what you could do on the outside, right?
Mentally.
And so I'm just trying to get people to see that like, yes, you're in here working out, and there are some avenues that may make you afraid, or may make you scared, or may make you nervous, and that's okay, because we're human. You allow those emotions, right? But there's two ways. There's two choices you can make. You can either go right, or you could go. If you go right, you're always going to go right. You're always going to remember. You're always going to remember that day that you went right, because you pushed. If you go left, that's always going to trickle down. You're always going to you're never going to like that you gave up. You're never going to like that you never gave your best effort.
Yeah.
Right? That could become a habit. So we got to be aware. So we got to be aware of how we play our cards, because they can become habits. Good cards and bad cards, they can become habits. So when I'm telling my athletes, I'm like, look, you got two ways. When you're feeling uncomfortable, you're either going to go right, so you can mask in that uncomfortableness, because you need to be comfortable, to be uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to go left and be like, you know what, I can't do this,
Right.
and then you're always going to be stuck with that word can't,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's just how I live life, man. That's just me, because I have my oldest daughter, and then I have my three little ones there who they they see their dad as a Superman. So I need to be strong for them
Mm-hmm.
so that they can be strong girls, strong world,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as young black girls, because they
Mm-hmm.
need to be that strong. I need them to be brave, and I need them to be strong,
Mm-hmm.
because there's three strikes already against them.
Yep.
They're a woman,
Yep.
they're a woman, they're black, right? And I don't like talking about the mixture, but then also they're mixed. So they live in a bottle to where they got to feel like, oh, I need to fit in here, or I need to fit in here. No, no, baby, me and mom are gonna keep it 100 with you. How you look, that's who you are,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how they're gonna see you on the outside.
Yep.
But through it all, I need you to be brave, because you have to be brave, because
Mm-hmm.
this world is not this world is the beast.
Shallow.
Yeah, this world is a beast. If you ain't preparing, yes, you're preparing for school and sports and everything, but you got to prepare for the real world,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not with daddy 24/7. You're not with mommy 24/7.
Yeah.
But if I could instill in them to be brave, to be confident, and to be strong,
Yeah.
they could be unbreakable mentally. They could be unbreakable. Forget
Mm-hmm.
physicalness. Emotionally and spiritually and mentally, they could be strong. We live by three things: brave, strong, confident. That's
Hmm.
what I need my girls to be. Brave, I need you to be strong, and I need you to be confident in your
Mm-hmm.
schoolwork, at gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out playing with friends, if you get in a little conflict, I need you to be solid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, love your afro.
Yeah.
Love your afro. Love your hair. Like
Yeah.
like I need you to be strong and confident in that,
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about.
I
I love it.
truly appreciate that. Truly, truly appreciate that. Even as you were talking earlier about just nobody ever asked me why. Nobody ever asked me why. Um, when I created my that I now go around and coach coaches on, it's called Win with Why, WIN with Why. And that helps coaches understand the why of their athletes, giving what's the right questions to ask, what are the conversations you should be having, how do we set our student athletes up to be successful, not just in athletics, but in their life. Asking those necessary questions. How often do you check on their mental health? So that's why I created the company doing that, because I said we could talk to the athletes all day, but until we start getting the coaches in position to do these things and execute in that matter, we're going to always have this cycle. So I appreciate you saying and talking about that. Um, as you started to speak about just the responsibilities of being a man and a father, as a Black woman, a daughter of a very strong, brave Black man, you know, I learned those things. And so we have this stigma on our back of being the strong Black the woman. So when you cry, you look weak, you know, um, and if you voice your opinion, you look too aggressive. And I remember going through this journey and everybody said, "Oh man, you must be smart. You went and got your doctorate degree." It's like, no, that's not it. But I knew for me that the only way that people were going to take me serious being an athletic director and being able to speak to a football coach or a basketball coach, I was going to have all these degrees, all these certifications, and even still showing up with that, they still don't take us serious because all they see, like you were teaching your daughter, is the face, is the, oh wow, she used to run track, so she still got that track body, and oh, those things that you've accomplished are great, but what are you doing after this? And so you have to teach them that. So I love the fact that you're teaching her how to be bold, how to be brave, how to be strong. You know, one of the greatest gifts that my father always teaches me, even to this day, was, you know, how to be okay with how you feel, you know,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I struggled with that. Well, if I say this, they're gonna think that I'm the angry black woman. But if I don't say anything at all, then I look weak, you know.
Oh
So
man, yep,
trying to
yep.
figure out when to be strong and when to be, you know. And then I remember growing up, my dad used to give me the stories about guys and what they're gonna say, and you know, they're gonna say this to you, and they're gonna do this, and so he taught me to be very strong, right? And independent. But then as I started to get older and now that our conversation's on, it's okay to be dependent as well. You know, it's okay to say, do you mind doing this for me? Even though you can do it. You know, how do you treat a man being an independent black woman? How do you make a black man feel important? How do you make him feel that he's wanted, that he's needed? And I'm looking at my dad like, this is different than what you told me before. You told me I need to do it myself. You know, I changed my own tires, I cut my own grass, and now you're telling me to ask. So, you know, you installing those gifts into your daughters, I really appreciate that because, you know, even though my mother and father have been married for a very long time, there's just things that I learned from my mother and there's things that I learned from my father, you know,
Mhm.
and no one can teach you about how to treat a man and what a man needs than a man. And
Mhm.
so I really appreciate you taking that time to install those things into your daughter as they grow up.
Mhm.
When you talked about the spiritual side, it's amazing how you're able to be in position to look back over your life and say, wow, I still wouldn't, I don't like my journey, but I own it, you know,
Mhm.
and you're
Mhm.
truly owning that journey.
Mhm.
Um, and you are living everything that you're teaching, right? Not too many leaders or coaches now are leading by example. And I tell people all the time, I don't lead by example, I am the example. You know, and you are that example, even though you had to go through your own pains, your own struggles for other people's glory, for everybody else that you're saving. And so I really appreciate you um, to be able to teach them that. You know, even when I was bodybuilding, I remember telling myself, these weights are just like the weight of life. You
Mhm.
know, the only way I can get stronger is by putting more weight. So every time more weight comes on, I just get stronger, you know. And
Mhm.
so you teaching those to your kids and your students are so important because sadly, our athletes are not built like how we were, right?
Right.
We were able to mask it, balance it, show up, you know, beat everybody, do all these things, and then go back and sit in our depression or whatever problem we had. Our athletes now, they don't, a lot of them don't have that willpower, you know. So that mental health piece is so important because they don't have the strength to keep going. A lot of times what they do is they do what? Quit. You find yourself calling them, hey man, where you at? Man, I can't do it. I got too much going on. I'm stressed. It's like you ain't got that ain't stress. That stuff you talking about, you be all right. You know. So I
Yep.
really appreciate you speaking to your athletes on that level and not just making it about a physical appearance, but the importance of being just connected, being in alignment, being in position so that when your time comes, you ready. You know, we pray for a lot, but we don't pray that we don't pray enough that God can prepare us for whatever purpose he has for us. You
Right.
know, we just want to see the
Right.
purpose. But once he give it to you, if you ain't ready for it, then what? You
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
truly appreciate that you sharing that journey with us. I really do.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I didn't foresee it getting this deep, but I'm glad that it did because we need to see this. We need to see vulnerability. I mean, when people look at you, the typical person doesn't see a vulnerable black man. They see a strong, you better get out of my way or you're gonna get ran through type of black man. So
Mhm.
you being able to tell that story, that's why Sherelle says it all the time, the story behind the glory. We see the glory, we see the the accomplishments, but we don't know what it took to get there. And
And
so
the thing about
go
it,
ahead.
I'm still working on it.
Hmm.
We all
I
are. We
mean,
all
yeah, I like even just telling the story, I was just saying in my head, all right, you're talking about your kids. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Because every time I talk about my kids, I get choked up because that, you know, that love that I didn't have, I get to give. But then it makes me mad towards my father because it's like if I'm able to humble myself and be selfless, you telling me you couldn't do this for me or for my oldest sister or my younger brother? Like you telling me you couldn't do this? But then again, now that I'm older, I'm like, all right, he had his journey and he had his battles and his trials. But I guess it's to each his own because I'm still dealing with things to where I haven't my oldest daughter at 19 and I haven't seen her since 2013. And I
Wow.
haven't spoke to her since 2016 because of the whole racial thing. I'm paying, and I don't mind. I don't care. I never care about money. I don't train or I don't coach. I don't own my gym for money. I just want to be a blessing to people. I just want to do my part because my legacy will live. I will become a legend through my legacy by living through my kids and those that I interact with, those that I'm able to be a blessing to. Right? That's my legacy right there. So me paying, over $1,000 a month in child support and not being able to have a conversation or see my oldest daughter, like I could care less about that money. It's always just been about a relationship
Yeah.
because I know about that pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say I'm still dealing with it, it be some days I just find myself driving and I'll just break,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'll break down because I'm like, man, I'm this father that I am to my three kids that I could have been to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 or 10 minutes, I'll be like, all right, good, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy how I could just mask that
Mm-hmm.
just like that.
That.
And it's like and it just became a norm. It's like it's it's that why again that like, why Lord, why am I still feeling this way?
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows my heart. He knows how much I take being a parent serious.
Mm-hmm.
I even me and my dad went to I fought him at least 5 times. That's how
Mm-hmm.
angry I was towards him.
Mm-hmm.
But a year ago, I had to call him and ask him to forgive me because that anger that I held towards him was hurting me on the inside.
Yeah.
It was breaking me down. It was
Mm-hmm.
making me a person that I didn't want to become on the inside.
Hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and by me releasing that weight, it's allowing me to to somewhat come to grips of not being there for my oldest daughter because
Mm-hmm.
of the outside forces. That like everybody always tell me you're not the only one going through what you're going through now, being able to see their child. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
took her to court 5 times for the same
Mm-hmm.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
visitation. That's all I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Denied, 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 denied. But
Yeah.
they want me to pay,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But and that stuck with me to where it's like, you know, I'm not the only one that's going through it, but I feel like I'm the only one that's going through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and it's like, and it's tough because that I didn't want to become that stat.
Right.
And New Jersey child support labels you as that. They
Mm.
put you in the system as deadbeat dad when you call child
No.
support.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Wow. I never knew
you
that.
know, yeah. So even that, and it's like, it's just it's a lot of weight. It's a
Mhm.
lot of weight, and I know my heart. You know,
Mhm.
I know my heart. I know how I am as a father. I know how I am as you know with my girls
Yeah.
and my son and my first son. I know how I am with them. I could have been that with her.
Mhm.
So them basically blocking that yeah. I still deal with that today. I still deal with it
Yeah,
today.
that's similar to like my brother's story, and that's why I think that the depression is what killed my brother, of battling. He also had a white girl pregnant, had a son and a daughter, so he was very involved in their life. Everything he did was for them, and just the constant fighting and mental and physical abuse of her, I think it just started to weigh on him, with his own struggles he had. Um, and then even still after he passed, my family, we continued to send money and send them up for Christmas. And then one day when my parents said, we want to get like rights, like sometime the summer times they come stay with us, and we'll help you out and do stuff. I mean, just going to court and seeing the crocodile tears and the oh boo hoo, and the judge saying no. So they took the rights away from my mother, my father, me. We can't even. So I haven't even. I haven't seen them probably in 7 or 8 years, and I remember knocking on the door. I drove for 3 hours knocking on the door, and she never answered, and then the police came, and I said, "I just wanna see my niece and nephew. I just wanna see them. I just wanna be able to see that they're okay," you know,
Hmm.
and, "Get off my yard, and this is my property," and so I just remember seeing my niece and nephew look out the window, and they were just looking because they recognized me, but they were so young, and,
Hmm.
even though that's not the journey that we want, we have to just trust the fact that if God has done all that he's already done for you, there's nothing else that he wouldn't do for you. Like
Right.
there's nothing else. And sometimes we have to
Right.
just stay in that space like, okay, God, like I know you got it, but when is it gonna come? Like I'm waiting. Like,
Right. Oh, I know that's the truth. Yep.
so, but that's the beauty of having a true relationship, right? Is
Mhm.
that he already knows James. He already knows, Sherelle. He knows I'm impatient. He know I want to see it right now that it's working. And so um, I'm just so glad and grateful that he accepts us for who we are, you
Right.
know, and
Right.
um, and he allows us to be upset at him. He allows us to ask the questions. He allows us to know.
Right.
But the beauty
Right.
is for us is
That's
that
the
we're
beauty of
able
the
to
relationship.
acknowledge
Yeah.
it. Right. We
Yeah.
can acknowledge it now. We can have our moment and then we can bounce back. So it's not really masking it anymore because we do allow ourselves to express how we feel. We just bounce back. Whereas before, we probably internalized how we feel, and that was the mask. So I'm just so proud and happy that you're able to take that mask off, allow yourself to feel whatever you need to feel in that space. And then, do what you got to do because that's how he made us. He made us resilient. He made sure that, no weapon formed against us will ever prosper. He didn't say it wasn't going to be no weapons. He just said that
Right.
it's not going to work. So I truly appreciate you sharing that journey. And we're all still a progress, right? And that's the beauty of it
Right.
is that we have an
Right.
opportunity to make something different, and do
Right.
something different. So, what are you doing right now with your business? Do you have any products out and books, any trainings, any online, virtual, anything that you're doing? Let us know where people can find you, where they can get this spiritual and physical, workout or whatever your products that you're providing. So if you can let us know where
Yeah.
they can find you.
Yeah. They could find me on Instagram at the James Townsend. My business is called the Brave One Gym, and it's at the Brave One Gym. And then I'm affiliated with CrossFit. So my gym is a hybrid. It's CrossFit, it's Olympic weightlifting, and sports performance. But then also, if you don't want to do either of the three, you could just come in and get your workout on. So at Lion Brave CrossFit, um, and then at TBO Training. So TBO Training is my competitive side of doing CrossFit or Olympic weightlifting or just working out. I get the program for remote athletes, but if not remote athletes, athletes that are in my gym personally that I could program for. So yeah, that's how people can find me. If anybody is out there doing the craziness of CrossFit, we just started our season today. 22.1, the Open just
That stuff
started.
hurts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's good. That's the thing about CrossFit is that you know we so many of us come into the sport and with a athletic background, and we think that, oh yeah, I did that,
Not the same.
position and everything, and then when you go ahead
Never
and you do something like Fran, which is like 21 thrusters and 21 pull-ups, 15,
done.
15, 9, 9. Ah, my God, it's so humbling, but
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
That's good, and that's where I try to tie in my faith with people that I come in contact with, and my athletes is that, like, look, like this, you know, your faith can become so much stronger while you're doing this sport if you just believe in yourself, because I believe in you, right?
yeah,
Just like our Father believes in us, but
right.
he didn't make you not to believe in yourself. He made you to believe in yourself. So your
Absolutely.
mom, your dad, and him, like we all believe in you, but it
Yeah,
takes you to
to
believe in
believe in
yourself.
you. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny you said that because when I moved out here, one of my close friends wanted me to do bodybuilding. And I was like, I'm not trying to like no man. Like, I'm not doing that, And so, of course, not knowing the sport, not even knowing, I'm just seeing the ones that look like a man. I was like, no, ma'am, not doing that. And so I
Mhm.
went to a competition. I saw this girl that used to run track, and her waist was like this. And then legs was like, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it because I just want to see, how I can take my body to that place. Like, what does my body look like at 4%? So I
Right.
remember thinking I could just go in the gym and do my regular like collegiate level training, and that bodybuilding was totally different. Like after 2 hours, he was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, we're done warming up. We about to hit it." I was like, "Here, like, how long we we here? We still in the gym." Like, but just that competitiveness, it was like, he's like, "You trying to go on the stage and lose? What you trying to do?" And I'm like, "No, hell no." So, just it is a very humbling experience, and I do encourage people to do something outside your comfort zone. So you
Right.
got people like
Right.
you that are experts in that space, and just as transform going through that transformation is so mental. It's such
Mhm.
a it's just people don't understand that connection is like when you start seeing what you're capable of doing when you just change your mindset and you just like you said believe in you. And so now we have coaches like you and people out there like you that are not only just helping with the physical but teaching people how to live in their own space and own who they are. And so I just truly appreciate. So we do encourage people to go out and find you, and connect with you on your Instagram. Do you have any events or anything coming up that we need to contribute to or sell on? um,
Um. Yeah. 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 I do. I'll be hosting these camps called TBO training camps.
okay.
So during the time of the whole lockdown with COVID and everything, um, I linked up with these brothers of mine that I call them my brothers now because we became tight. So
Mhm.
we became tight through an Instagram chat because
Hmm.
we all follow each other and everything, and then during the height of COVID and George Floyd, in the sport of CrossFit, there's really not that many of us that
Mhm.
looks like us, right? So we all decided to instead of saying, hey, we want to see at the table, we want our faces and names to be known and everything, even though I have a name in the sport, but
Mhm.
it wasn't at that time, it wasn't in the respectable way,
Right.
right? So we decided to go ahead and take it upon ourselves and to get together, but and it was supposed to just be a vibe, right? We supposed to all
Mhm.
just get together, for a weekend. They came out to Iowa, the Most High blessed me with a business and everything. So I was like, all right, let's everybody come on out to Des Moines. But then it ended up turning into a camp to where athletes that look like us get to come out.
Mhm.
But then it became bigger than that. not only did people wanted to be a part of the vibe, but I wanted it to turn it into something to where I could reach the masses on how to help them go about doing CrossFit the right way. Because if you want to do CrossFit, all right, if you're an an everyday gym goer, so I would say to you, all right, well, one, you got to find a gym that has good programming, that has a good coach, and they're going to invest in you because it's a premium package. You're paying damn near two, three, $400 a month, right, to do 1 hour of training. So if you want to get better at that, that's how you get better at being a CrossFit athlete. If you're looking to be competitive, all right, you got to make sure that you're hitting all the energy systems, whether if it's aerobic, capacity, and intensity, and it got to be tied into all that for your barbell, your gymnastics, your monostructural, et cetera, et cetera. But it has to be in a way of you attacking your weaknesses because you can't always do everything that you love, right? You got to do the stuff that you don't love and that sucks and that hurts. But that's just going to make you better. But not only is that going to make you better, but that's going to make this better. Don't just train the physical, but you got to train the mental, right? And then, but so I feel as if this message, that message of what I just told y'all, is not being passed on out there because everybody's always looking for the money. I could care less about the money. I just want you to be the best that you can be, the right way. I'm going about it the right way because if 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 you go about it the right way and you appreciate it, you're going to take yourself up here, right? And I don't need to sell myself, and I don't need people to come in and take their money or anything. No, if they appreciate the information that I'm giving them to them freely, then they're going to appreciate me and want to be a blessing to me. But if not, hey, so be it. We're creating a community to where we can be a face of something because we want to be a part of the sport. We want to do this sport. We want to be inclusive as well. But we're not going to wait for nobody to make us inclusive. We're going to do it ourselves. And so that's what I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, TBO training camps, we're doing a mini camp in Jersey and May 5th through the 8th. And then volume 4 of TBO training camp will be in July. And then, the next one will be in January and then so on and so on and so on.
Well, you're a blessing, so thank you.
I'm over
Thank
here
you.
digging through your content right now, man. We got to promote this. Got to promote this, man. I'm in the process of getting my physique back on point. I've never quite gotten to the James Townsend level, but I mean, regardless, man, seeing you out there doing your thing is inspiration in and of itself. And being more directly connected to you now, it's like, okay, I really got to get myself together now. But definitely, man, I shot you a message via Instagram. We'll be connecting with you, just on some follow up items to see how we can kind of get into the mind of some of our, high school and collegiate athletes.
Mhm.
But also, anything that you want us to push out to our networks, don't hesitate to shoot it over via Instagram, and we'll push it out, add it to our newsletter, whatever it may be, just to
Mhm.
really support, man.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yes,
much. Thank
indeed.
you.
For sure, for
Well,
sure.
thank you so much, and continue to be you because you're doing it well.
Mhm.
And it's I'm excited about your future endeavors, and now that we're all family, we will make sure that we continue to connect, and not just connect with one another, but build a relationship. We never
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
why people are placed in our lives to do whatever, and what purpose they have for us. So I'm truly believe that you haven't even touched the surface of what God is going to do for you. And so I really excited and looking forward to seeing your journey. And thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for being so brave and strong and confident. everything that you instill to your children and your family and your community. Just continue to do that. And you don't owe it to anybody to be strong with yourself. So just continue to do that. And we need you around. So continue to do the things that you're doing. And we love you. And we are now family. And so we want to make sure people go out and look at your event that you're having, TBO training camp soon. So just go to his Instagram. He's always working out. He's always showing stuff, spitting knowledge. And so it's more than the physical with him. So dig deep, get connected, do whatever you need to do. But we definitely want to continue to support you and want the community to do so. So we're going to put you in the backstage. We're going to close out, and then we'll then you can log off. So you can go ahead and just go to the back, and then don't log off until we get there.
All right.
Get back there like, oh, where'd they go? So thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And another one.
And another one. Well, I'm just excited that, you know, um, when I think about the connection, I always think about just those links that go on a chain. We just constantly just creating, just creating, building relationships on top of relationships on top of relationships. And, we have similar storms, but never everybody's in the same size boat, you know. And so, like he talked about, just, to this day, nobody's checked on me. We gotta do a better job in our community. We gotta do a better job at family. We gotta do a better job at friends, business partners. Do you check on each other's mental health? Do you check on each other's how their day going? We have to continue to do that. If we don't do it for each other, nobody will. So we have to make sure we all do a better job in our community of doing that and checking on each other. So I really appreciate him expressing that importance of that.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this episode literally could have went on for hours if time permitted, because such important topics. But we seriously need to go ahead and put together our list of encores. So like all of our guests that we need to bring back, we got to put together that list, and this is definitely one of them.
Yes.
So off of that note, guys, make sure that as always you share the video. We're going to be chopping. And I haven't really said much about this, but we're going to be chopping up, certain parts of various different shows and putting them out, as a compilation, to speak to our certain important issues, so on and so forth. But definitely follow us on Instagram. We are HSBA, with a period between each word. Also, check out our website. We are hsba.com. You can get linked to our social media, our podcast show here, Spotify, playback, so on and so forth. But we will be back. It's been like a year and 2/3 now that we've been going strong. So we appreciate all the guests. We appreciate all the viewers. And like I said, we'll be back same place, same time next week. Maybe we'll be in the same window between 4 and 6 p.m. We'll be back next week. Y'all stay well. Stay safe.